It's been said before, so let's say it again. The best part of any doubleheader night is the break between the races. It's the perfect blend of the post-race high and the pre-race jitters. Once again, from Kern County Speedway, streaming cyberspace into your place, it's the Virtual Grip Network's fifth round coverage of the Bootleg Racing League's Late Model Invitational Series, Season 27. The consistency continues, winless, but with a pair of seconds, along with a third and a fourth, finds Todd Liston 16 points better than Steven Spies and John Wilson, both of whom have wins. And though far from Shepherdian, Liston did come to the dusty town of Bakersfield, leading the points in not only this series, but in the modified invitational as well. This is only the third time the BRL has brought the late models to Kern, and no driver racing tonight has had the privilege to taste the Bakersfield victory ripple. So pull the lever on the Lazy Boy and settle in for some simulated short track racing action that's about to stream your way from the city whose slogan reads, "At least you're not in Barstow." A warm hello and welcome on this Saturday night, July 27th, 2024. It's Ricky Hard-the-Wall Harden, who joins yours truly, Phil Soups on. Hi, up in the BGN broadcast booth to give you our bird's eye view. Replay, Ryan Senator, turning the knobs, pushing the sliders. All right, Ricky, many other venues, but the BRL hasn't been to this one very many times. What's this place like?
Yeah, this place is wide open and fast for the late model stock cars. I say wide open with a little bit of a grain of salt because you do have to slow down for the corners here, but it is a quick track, a lot of space here. It feels like you can get away from each other, but one thing that is obvious is that when you come off the corners, it feels like it tightens up more than it looks like it does. These lanes, there's moderate banking here, but these lanes really wash you out to the wall, as you would expect at most short tracks, and it just feels really narrow because of the way that happens. There's also a weird opening at the start-finish line that can cause people to take weird lines down the straightaways. So it'll be interesting to see how these guys race this track. A little bit smaller field than we usually see here tonight in the Bootleg Racing League. But you mentioned it. There's not a lot of history to go off of at this track, and we don't have any previous winners from Kern County Raceway Park in this race.
Well, we'll get a new one tonight. That's why we're here. Let's take a look at the points. With Trey Blue making his season debut at Slinger, the number of drivers who have raced at least once this season, it grows to a nice, healthy 25. 14 have raced in all the previous 4 events. 4 races, 4 different winners. Todd Liston not among them. The last place at Thompson bookends Steven Speed's win at Hickory. The Canadian Goose win came at the season opener. Double Deuce Bruce Pearson is yet to miss the top 10. Boy, he's really been on a roll. A 6th at Slinger moves Kurt Smith around Joe Snyder. For Ribeye Joe, Slinger dealt a season worse 14th. Mike Holloway has an average finish of 13th place. That was until he won last time out. Well done, Mike. A 2nd at Thompson is Donnie Moore's only season highlight. Joe Segala continues to move up in the points. And the big lipper, Chris Hazlip, rounds out your overlay. There you have it. Should be a fun one tonight. Take a quick look at the weather, which was really tough last time out for our last race. 79 degrees, or 74 degrees under cloudy skies now, so a little bit of puffiness have blown in over the top of this Central Valley here in California.
Yeah, and the good thing about a little bit of cloud cover, it means the track temperature is a little bit lower, a little bit less fighting of the handling of these race cars when your temperature is a little lower on the track. Just a 5-degree delta there between the air temperature and the track temperature. 79-degree Fahrenheit track temperature with our little temperature gun right now off of pit road. That's what we see, and practice comes to a close. Who we got for our spotlighted driver this week?
Well, let's go ahead. That's a good point. We didn't think about that because one of the broadcasters was late to the booth, and so we were scared Soup was going to solo it. Let's go ahead and quickly pick. Let's go through my charts here. Oh, you know who it is? It is Bruce Pearson, and he has an 8.5. What say you?
Oh boy, that's a tough one for the double deuce of Bruce Pearson. I'm going to give him the under. I think he can get it done here tonight. He's going to be starting. Where's he going to be starting at? In the 10th position. He's got to only make up a couple spots, so we'll give him the under.
All right, well, that's good. We always like to pick the under, show some confidence in the drivers. Let's go ahead and run down the starting field now that consists of 17 drivers. It is the boss man, Lowell Jewell. He'll be starting on the pole. The Butcher of Baton Rouge, Ribeye Joe Snyder outside of him.
Chris Hazlip found himself turned around a couple times last week. Hopefully he won't see that this week. We start in P3 with the caveman, Trey Bloom, to his outside in 4th.
A man whose reputation is working his way through the field. He won't have as far to go today as usual, as Ruben Ortiz starts in 5th. Veteran Donnie Moore outside of him.
Hey, there's the Goose coming down from Canada. The 75 of John Wilson starts 7th. Joe Segala starts 8th.
Kurt Smith will be in ninth, and we talked about our spotlighted driver. Bruce Pearson is going to be in the 10th spot.
You also talked about a little bit of consistency out here, and Todd Liston has had it most of this season. He's going to roll off 11th with Brennan Myers, who showed a lot of speed last week, rolling off 12th.
Liston with a 16-point lead in the points. That's a big lead so early on. In the Baker 7th spot, it's Mike Holloway. He's going to be inside of the chief, former police chief of Plain City, Iowa, Steve Hilbert.
And the other Hilbert, Tom Hilbert in the 61 will roll off 15th with John Hine coming 16th and Bobby Hayes rounding out the field in 17th position. That'll do it here tonight. 17 cars ready to go racing. The 18th car, of course, is our pace car, driven as always by the perfectly mesmerizing Miss Josie Kirkland. Good to see her back with us as usual. Josie takes the car around through the parade lap. She'll duck it into pit lane, and then we'll go one more time around, and we'll go green here for round number 5. This one, and then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and we'll crown ourselves our 27th champion here in the modified series. This is the late model series, but you see that beautiful sky in the background back there. Sun going down. You can see it shining on turn 2 right here as they come through, coming to the green flag this time by. That sun is setting, and we'll be racing under the lights by the time this thing finishes out. And there you see Josie Kirkland in the pace car pulling off to the left side. Well, you don't see her. She's a little off your screen. But she's on pit road, and Lowell Jewell's on the loud pedal. And green flag flies to start this 100-lapper at Kevin Harvick's Kern County Raceway. And it's Lowell Jewell out in front of the field. Going into turn number 1. The battle is for second.
They get the modified, or they get the late model settled out. You know they're late models because they're fitter. Look at the action going on for 3rd position. Now there's a battle for the lead.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of trouble for a lot of these guys getting off at turn number 2. Lowell Jewell trying to go to the middle, coming off of turn number 4 right there. Not going to do it, but Chris Hazlip takes the lead on the outside, but not so fast. Here comes Joseph Snyder on the bottom. That outside lane has a really hard time getting turned coming off of turn number 2. We've seen the first 2 laps of this race, guys just really sliding up as they come out of that corner.
Ruben Ortiz almost got into the back of Lowell Jewell. He backs off of it. That allows the 32 now of Trey Bloom, the caveman, to try to work the outside. We'll see if that outside line will work early. Yeah, it looks like you could really roll the top there on the entry of turn 1, maybe to the center of turn 1 and 2. But then when you get to the exit of turn 2, it just wants to go straight. It's like the track drops out from under you, and you just have to let out of the gas and get that thing turned down toward the bottom. And you see that happen to Trey Bloom coming off turn 2. John Wilson gets underneath him, and he's going to try to take that 5th position away. Boy, Bloom is in a tough position now because not only is Wilson underneath him, Kurt Smith is a veteran. He knows if he can get to the tail of Wilson, he can freight train him as well. Look at that top side, try to work. Also stuck on the top side is the 26 of Donnie Moore. The racing is back, about in going for 6th position. Up front, they race single file. That's right, Bloom way up the track right there, trying a little bit different line than you've seen anybody run so far. And it worked out okay for him, but it looks like John Wilson's going to get the pass done on him through the center of 3 and 4. And here comes Kurt Smith to the bottom. He's going to get it done as well. And you see Trey Bloom drift up really high on the exit of turn 2. Donnie Moore kind of followed him into the wall right there, and they're losing ground fast now. Your points leader, that's Todd Liston, who now gets under Bloom. And finally, there's an opening for Trey. He can tuck it down in there, and he'll stop the bleeding as he ducks it in what'll be 8th position. Yeah, and they're single file for those first 8 positions, but there might be a battle brewing a little closer to the front. Ruben Ortiz was looking under Lowell Jewell, but he wasn't able to make it happen just yet. You see now he's falling off the back of Lowell Jewell just a little bit. That battle is still going on back there for that
9th and 10th position. Oh, there's trouble behind him. John Hine goes into the outside wall, noses head on into the outside wall, and spins around on the back straightaway. The caution is out.
Did not realize Joe Segala was there, or Joe Segala crowded him. Segala on the outside, Hine on the inside.
Yeah, it just looks like them arguing over space a little bit, and I think what you said is right on both counts. Maybe Segala was a little further down the track than John thought he would be, and maybe Segala thought that John should keep that thing a little lower. But you see right here through the center of 1 and 2, John was trying to run a little bit higher lane, and I don't think Segala was having it. He was running him real tight.
Well, you get a little insight on the drivers. We just did a broadcast with John, and he talked about when you're on the inside, it's important that you run the guy up a bit so that you have a wider entry into the upcoming corner. Maybe John was trying to do that. Maybe Joe listened to the broadcast and said, not on my watch.
Yeah, maybe that's exactly right. Maybe we should talk to John Hine and see what was going through his mind on
Let's dial up my partner. Let's go ahead and see if he's in the mood. He's in pit lane. He has plenty of time to talk to us. John, can you talk while you're doing business down in pit lane?
Yeah, I can. What's up?
All right. We just did a broadcast where you talk about when you're on the inside line, it's important that you drive the guy up a bit. Is that what we're doing? And Segala wouldn't let you push him?
Yeah, I mean, it's his prerogative, and I mean, I don't know. I mean, probably both of us a little bit on that. You know, it's work towards the back. I should have taken account who I was driving with, so it is what it is.
There you go. This is a great place to end the interview. Thanks a lot, John.
I think so too. Good job.
John, unfortunately,
candid comments there.
Yes,
John Hine. He is the sole driver 1 lap down now. He's going to have to get a lucky dog to get back on the lead lap, so he'll be looking for a caution later on.
Really not fair because, well, he has double-edged sword there. Not only would he maybe pick up a suspension, he also might lose some money as a broadcast gig. So good job, John. I know you well enough to know you really, you were varnishing your opinion, so nobody got a opinion splinter there.
Well, through all that, we saw Joe Snyder grab the lead there early on, and they'll be coming back to get the 1 to go here. And so he'll lead us back to the green flag with Chris Hazlip running P2, and our pole sitter, Lowell Jewell. We saw him slide up the track a couple times in that first lap and our first couple of laps. And this is what I'm worried for these guys about, is that they slide up coming off of turn number 2, have to crack the throttle, and when you do that, you lose all your momentum, and here comes a freight train to your inside.
Indeed. You know, another thing I was noticing, it's fun to watch Ruben Altis do his stuff early in the race. Usually, for whatever reason, it seems like he's always starting well in the back, and he has to work his way through the field. Nice to see him start up front. He can do his magic when he's on screen a bit.
That's right. We're coming back to the green flag. You see the field doubled up, and there's John Hine way tail end Charlie at the back of the field. He's just going to try to keep that thing clean and get that free pass hopefully later on. Coming through turns 3 and 4, looking for the green flag. Here's Joe Snyder leading them to the green, and the green flag is still not out. And there it is, Joe Snyder on the loud pedal. He gets away, and it's going to be him clear to the lead, and Hazlip clear down to second place. The battle is for third as they go into turn 1.
Working lap number 14, Ruben Altis trying to make the outside lower. Now slipping to the outside. It's the 93 of Hazlip. That's going to let the boss man, Lowell Jewell, get underneath him.
And that's the same thing that Lowell did on the initial start of the race. He drifted up the track a little bit, lost momentum. Hazlip did the same thing coming off of turn number 2. He got a little out of the groove, had to lift out of the throttle, and here came Lowell Jewell with a huge head of steam, and he made it happen. Now the battle is for third spot. It's Hazlip trying to keep it, but John Wilson on the inside of him trying to take it.
Kurt Smith able to duck out of the outside line, get down to the inside line. That's going to be the issue that Hazlip and Altis are going to have to try to do right now. Not going to happen, as that inside line is nose to tail.
And we talk about consistency. It seems like every week this season, there's Todd Liston. He moves into the 4th position. He's already up 7 spots since the start of this race. He and Mike Holloway both, and now Mike Holloway working on that position behind him, the 5th position. He's going to be up 8 spots as he moves into that 5th spot. But here goes Todd Liston. He's looking to the inside of John Wilson down the backstretch.
Nice run through there, and the inside line is the first phase. I think Wilson may have just waved him by, looking for an opening to tuck down in there. A lot of racing to go, says the Canadian Goose. I'll get you later. The 23, Trey Bloom. Oh, that's Holloway, who's now up there in 5th position.
Yeah, and John Wilson was able to make himself a space in line to get down in front of Holloway, and he did that. Now the battle's a little further back. You just saw that the 81 of Segala made the pass on Ruben Altiz. Ruben stuck there on the outside lane, our spotlighted driver, and that is who's our spotlighted driver again? It's Bruce Pearson. That's right. He just moved up one more spot there, back into the 10th position, or actually into the 9th position as they cross the line right here. So he's one spot shy of that under.
You know, as we were going green, we talked about Ruben Altiz getting to show what he does from the front of the field. Well, he doesn't like to be up there up front so early, as he's fallen all the way back. Oh, the bleeding continues. He's finally going to be able to tuck himself down behind the caveman. Finally, as Trey Bloom goes through, Altiz will have to tuck down into what I guess will be 13th position when it's all said and done. Hey, Ricky, how about we put the camera on Joe Snyder for a little bit? Give him a little bit of love. He's had a tough time of it. The Butcher of Baton Rouge, he's out in front.
Yeah, having a great run here tonight. It's been a little while since he's seen the front of the field for this amount of time. So kudos to him for being able to take the lead early and get out there. He's running. He's 6th in points right now. He's had some top 10s, but he hasn't finished in the top 5 yet this season. So looking for a good run out of him tonight.
Hayslip made that great run from 3rd position to get credit with leading the first lap, but he's fallen back, and Snyder has led everything else other than that. But look at the boss man, Lowell Jewell, with a great run off of 2. Is he going to duck to the inside? No, he's going to get a little bit of hello to Joe Snyder.
Yeah, and I think Lowell learned something in those first couple of laps. He learned that the car really likes to push itself out of turn number 2, drift up the track a little bit. And I think what he's doing now is he's kind of arcing down like a late apex to get down a little lower off of turn 2. And he's getting great runs doing that. A lot of other guys, I think, might have to crack the throttle or just check up a little bit on the exit of 2, and not Lowell Jewell. He's making it happen. Todd Liston, he's learned something marching his way through the field or watching Lowell Jewell, one of the two, because he's doing it as well. Look at the run he's getting. He goes to the bottom, and he's going to get a run on Lowell for the 2nd spot.
He did. He goes to the inside. He clarified his point watching says he does pay attention to the points between races. He just doesn't point race during the race. That's what he says. It's too confusing for him. He wants to keep it clean. Another driver who just made a move on John Wilson a few laps ago is Mike Holloway, now racing up in 4th position from 13th.
Yeah, both Mike Holloway and Todd Liston up 9 spots and marching their way through this field since the start. And they've made quick work of really good cars out there, and maybe the even odd fairies have done a little bit of help for them on getting them through the field, because they seem to have been placed on the inside on the restarts. So good job to those guys getting up through the field. 2nd and 4th place this early in the race. We're only 27 laps down, so just past the quarter mark of this race. And there goes Joel. He gets sideways, and he's going to bring out the caution. He's sideways off of turn number 2. Caution's not out yet. He sits sideways. He's going to back up a little bit. No, we're not going to have a caution. Poor Lowell Jewell loses all that track position. He's still trying to get it corrected, and we are going to get a caution as Brendan Myers comes past him. And let's take a look at that replay.
Right in front of Mike Holloway. Mike just lifted enough to let the 2 clear before he got back on the throttle. And then we talked about the slow cautions here. We had one earlier in the, I don't want to give any spoilers, but one earlier in the modified race as well.
Yeah, well, one thing that iRacing will do is you see that white line right there. His tires are below that white line. It typically will not throw a caution if you're down there. And if no one is coming and you back up above that line, that's perfectly fine. He did that, but then Brendan Myers, who joined our race a little late tonight, came around and triggered the caution when Lowell backed up right there. So he really tried his best to keep it out of the racing line and keep us from having a caution, I believe.
Let's go ahead and dial up our race leader, Ribeye Joe Snyder, the Butcher of Baton Rouge, out there in the sausage-pleasing machine, although I'm not sure if that's the livery he's racing there tonight. Joe, how's it feel to be out front for a while?
Yeah, it feels good, man. The car feels really good, but I'm not, oblivious to the fact that I got some really fast guys behind me.
Are you, do you pay attention? Obviously, you pay attention to the tires. How you feeling about them? Third of the way through.
They feel good. I'm trying to save as I can. I'm watching my rear view. If they get up close, I might push a little bit, but if they give me a little room and fight amongst themselves, I'll ease off a little bit. I just hope I can last.
Let's talk about the restart. Last time it seemed like the green flag was really late coming. Is that something that happens here, or do you feel comfortable with what you need to do?
I crossed over what I thought was the start line. I did it right at the beginning. I was surprised. Did it look like I jumped the start?
No, not at all. We just thought it was late coming there, but that was good. No, good luck to you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Don't want to give him second thoughts there, Ricky. I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, it was later than the initial start that the green flag came in. There's some stripes there across the track. You can see them. And that's typically a restart zone that is used here at Kern County. And it's just Kern Raceway now. Sorry. I'm going back to the old name and renaming it. But you know what I mean. That's where it should come out. It felt like it came out a little later. I'm really intrigued for this restart, though, because we're going to have Todd Liston on the outside of the front row. What do you think he's going to be able to do?
You know, I would be surprised if he forces the issue, because we talk about consistency. He just wants to bring the car home clean, but he can't let what happened to Ruben Altice happen to him, where he gets shuffled all the way back. He's got to find a spot in there. Maybe somebody. I don't think Holloway's going to give him the opportunity.
Yeah, Holloway's been just as quick, if not quicker, than Liston coming through this field. But one thing I will say is typically the leader gets a little bit of an advantage on these starts. You've seen the leader choose the bottom every single restart. I don't think you'll see anything different tonight as Joe Snyder is down there for this restart. But typically the leader gets a really good restart, and then the second place guy usually has an opportunity to get in line. But Holloway's no slouch. I think he'll be ready.
Liston, Wilson, and Hazlip stuck on the top side. Keep an eye on them, the 87, the 75, and the 93.
Pace car pulls out of the way, and we're waiting on that green flag that come through turns 3 and 4, and it's all under the control of Joe Snyder. Off of turn 4, there it is. Green flag is out, and they're dead even on that restart. Joe Snyder maybe did have some second thoughts on this particular restart. Liston still to the outside of him down in turn 1 and 2, and Snyder gets a little bit loose down there on the bottom. It's going to give Liston a run. They're side by side down the backstretch, and there's a gap for Liston to get down if he wants to, but right now he's battling for the lead.
Yeah, you look at that. Liston did have the opportunity to back off and take it, but right now he's got Snyder pinned to the inside. Let's see how much he tries to keep Snyder pinned down there. Now Snyder pulls away. He's clear, and here comes Holloway. Look at Liston says, I'm coming down.
That was a tight hole. There was not much of a gap, but there was a gap, and he's going to try to do the over-under on him. The old whoopsie-doo. He goes to the bottom. The 87 car is on the inside for the lead in turns 1 and 2. Side by side off of turn 2, and man, Joe Snyder got sideways, and he turns Liston around. Liston gets T-boned by the 6 of Kurt Smith. There goes Ruben Altice spinning around as well in this incident. Everyone else gets away from the scene of the crime, but man, that is just unfortunate. It looked to me like the 39 of Snyder got a little loose off of turn number 2, and they came together. Let's take a look.
He did. He had it saved, but to save it, it drifted down into Liston. And then they get together. Altice gets rear-ended. He goes around, but I don't think he collects anybody.
Yeah, it looked like off the nose of Donnie Moore there as Donnie was trying to get checked up for it. But, the biggest contact we saw there was really for Liston. Liston kind of went up in the air as he hit the outside wall, and I don't know if that car is going to be what it was before, but I believe it's going to. Holloway actually got a little bit of a piece of him going by, and so did Kurt Smith. So a lot of these guys up front are going to have some damage from that incident.
Well, you only need the exception that proves the rule, and Liston is always consistent, and maybe tonight is that exception that proves it true. Let's dial up the 23 of Mike Holloway as we continue to talk to our leaders and see. Mike, you had a good view of that one. Could you see it coming?
Not at all. That took me by surprise.
How's the car feel?
It's hard to tell. I mean, I've tried to swoosh it around there, but I'm not pitting, so we're going to find out when it goes green.
All right, I want to talk about the restarts, because maybe it's just the pace of the restart, but to me, compared to what I usually see when I broadcast, it seems like it's really late out of the quarter. It's a long way. Is that your feel too, or is it just me being crazy?
No, you might have something there. I think there's a little bit of gamesmanship being played here, but yeah, they might be running a little bit longer than normal.
You want to shake it up a bit and go for the outside line, show us the outside line just to make it fun?
No, I think I'm okay right where I'm at.
All right, good luck.
Thanks.
Now, if he had broadcast experience, he would have taken my suggestion a little more seriously.
Yeah, you got to leave us second guessing and right until the very last second anyway.
Yeah.
These let's take a look at that right front fender on that 23 machine. Holloway said he wasn't quite sure what he'll have for this restart, but I see a little bit of a crinkle on the right front of the nose, and you're about to see him as he comes out of the corner here. There it is, a little bit of crinkle. It's pushed down just a little bit, shortened up a little more than it was there at the start of the race. And likewise on the 6 of Kurt Smith, he's got it on the left front of his car. So both of those guys dealing with a little bit of damage. I think possibly it's just cosmetic damage on the front too. But really, we won't know until we get this green flag.
We won't know, and you heard Mike talk about it. Is there really any way for them to know?
Well, sometimes if you're carrying a little speed when the caution comes out, you can kind of feel of it if you think it's going to feel different, but it's tough. A lot of times you have to wait for the green.
That's interesting. Race it a little harder even after the incident just to see what you got. Well, we'll see how it works out. This is going to be fun. We're going to be working lap number 43 when we go green.
Yep. Inching in on that halfway mark here. It's going to be Holloway on the bottom lane, leading us back to the green with Kurt Smith in the 6 on the outside. The Canadian Goose, John Wilson, got through that incident unscathed. He'll restart the 3rd spot, and here we go. And Holloway is on the loud pedal, and he is away really early from this field. So Holloway going to have no pressure going into turn number 1. The battle's for second, and it's going to be Kurt Smith making it happen on the top and closing the door on the Canadian Goose. And it's going to be the 81 of Segala up into the wall. They almost went 3 wide down the back straightaway right there. Donnie Moore kind of looked to the middle with Trey Bloom down on the bottom, but he wasn't able to make that middle happen there. And the battle is still for the 2nd spot, and they're closing in on the back of Holloway.
Yeah, as Segala got loose, Smith left the inside row open, and now a twofer, perhaps for the Goose. He gets 1 and possibly 2.
Man, John Wilson with a great run off of turn number 2, and it really looks like Holloway's having a hard time keeping that thing on the bottom down there, and drifted up the track just enough to give John Wilson the lane, and Wilson's going to take advantage, and there he goes again. Holloway slipped up just a little off of 2, and there's side by side on the back straightaway, dead heat into turn number 3, but it's going to be Wilson with the advantage through 3 and 4.
Tip of the hat to Holloway. Holloway tries to pin Wilson down. Wilson tries to push him up. They are still Seattle's bathtubs out of the backstretch. Now a good run off of 2 for Wilson. Looks like he has the advantage. Now the question is, can Holloway tuck in before Trey Bloom gets up there? The caveman looking for second.
Yeah, and there's not a hole there right now. He's not going to have a lot of room to make that happen. If he wants to get down, he's going to have just a ounce of time to do it. And Wilson, or actually Bloom, does not get off of turn 2 well there, so he's going to have the lane down the back straightaway, and he's going to tuck it down into line. And I think your booth mate from the previous race might have been onto something when he talked about drivers wanting to push another driver up the track a little bit through the corner. I believe that's what Wilson did when he got that bottom lane. He pushed Holloway up just a little bit more than he wanted to get the edge down the backstretch.
I got a hunch Holloway has figured out what his car can and cannot do, because right now Wilson is not driving away from him. Bloom back there in 3rd.
Yeah, it looks like the 23 still has speed. I think he missed that turn 2 exit a couple of times there, and that may be what caused him to lose the lead. But here further back, we see a little bit of battle between Bobby Hayes and Ruben Altiz. Altiz finally working his way back toward the front after falling all the way to the rear early on.
Yeah, he didn't like being up front. He does his work back here, so he gets the best of Hayes right now. And Altiz racing his way. Well, Hayes fighting back. They're racing for 9th and 10th.
Yep, good racing between these two, but you see that Ruben Altiz has the preferred lane, and I believe he's going to make quick work. Bobby Hayes coming off of turn number 2. He will, and Lowell Jewell's going to look to the inside of Hayes.
Hayes trying to pin Jewell down as Altiz drives away.
Hey, there's our spotlighted driver, Bruce Pearson, right in front of this gaggle.
Lowell Jewell's in trouble!
Yeah.
He got bumped.
Man.
He went down low. He saved it. I thought he was going up into Hayes there on that. Maybe we get a replay of that one if we didn't catch it live.
Yeah, he was just out of frame there, and you were right. He about totally junked that thing going down the front straightaway. Whoa, man, look at that. They come together, and what a great job Lowell Jewell does to hang on to that and not wipe both of them out down in turn number 1 and 2. Back to Bruce Pearson. I was just talking about him. He's our spotlighted driver, and he's in the 8th position, so currently in that under spot. Stay where you're at, Bruce. Keep doing it.
He's got Chris Hayes slipping in front of him. The big lipper trying to work on Joe Segala. Segala certainly has had an interesting race right now. The 81 gets a little bit loose. The 93 looking to get there.
Yeah, these guys just keep stacking up a little bit back here. I'm not sure who's the cork in the bottle. It looks like maybe it's that 81 of Joe Segala, or maybe it's the 93 of Hazlett, but it's going to be Bruce Pearson losing a spot to Ruben Altiz as he continues to work his way forward.
Good racing going on farther back. That's where the action is. I hate to take you away from this, but I got to show you what's going on up front. Mike Holloway, it's just pestering John Wilson like a little sister. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. Just so close. Wilson's having none of it.
Yeah, he's just riding right there on the rear of that 75 machine, trying to make him worried, I think. I don't think that Holloway wants to run any harder than this, and maybe trying to save his stuff behind John Wilson.
Right on board with Holloway.
Man, he is right on the back bumper of John Wilson, is he not?
I'll tell you, Ricky, this is where you want to be at the track as a spectator. There's great racing going on up front. There's great racing going on back for 7th position as well. We hate to jump around. Joe Segala, Hayslip is in the mix. There's Ruben Altiz fighting as well. Oh, Jewel, you don't know where to watch.
Yeah, and those guys have been pretty tight on top of each other for a while now. And it's Hayslip just trying to hold on to that 5th position, right, or 6th position, 7th position, sorry, right now over the 70 of Ruben Altiz, who's been slowly and methodically working his way back forward. And he's got to run off of turn 4. He's going to look to the inside of Hayslip going into turn 1. He's not quite there, but he's going to try to poke him down on the bottom and see if Hayslip will give him a lane. Hayslip does not give him that lane, so they stay single file.
Jump you around again. Let's go back up front because you got to see how close it is up here. This is where I used to work with the broadcaster that called this reconnaissance racing. And I think that's what Mike Holloway is doing right now. Just feeling out John Wilson. I think Wilson really doesn't care. He's just hitting this right line. Smooth as a bikini wax is John Wilson.
Yeah, he's not making any mistakes, and I don't know if Holloway's actually making him worry too much, but I really like that term, reconnaissance racing. That's exactly what it looks like Holloway is doing right now, just trying to run just hard enough to see where Wilson is strong and where he is weak and where he might make a move a little later on, but he doesn't need to do it yet. He gets a little bit of a run off forward, looks to the inside, but he doesn't get a big enough run to get there, so he falls back in line in turns 1 and 2.
The fly in their ointment might be Trey Bloom, who is not going anywhere either. And I don't know how long the caveman will stay patient before he wants to see what he can do.
Well, you know, if one of these guys makes a mistake, he's going to jump right on top of that. He doesn't want to waste any time. I think right now he's just riding where he's riding and not too worried about making any moves. But Holloway gets another really big run off of turn number 2. It's a couple of times that I've seen Holloway get a run like that on John Wilson, and he didn't quite have enough to take it, or he didn't want to take the run. We're looking back from John Wilson right now. And Wilson through turns 1 and 2. Let's see how he gets off the corner and see if Holloway gets another run. Pretty much even the top 2 off of turn 2.
Jump you back to Altiz. He's trying to get underneath the 93. He was there for a minute, but the outside line for Hayslip worked really good. The Lipper was able to fend him off. You talked about who's slowing him down. I don't know where it is back there. Segala, I'm not sure. Smith, they're starting to run up. Honestly, I think the back pack is beginning to run down more in Smith.
Yeah, definitely. They're falling into the clutches of them. Man, this battle at the front is getting tighter and tighter, and here goes Holloway. He's looking at the inside of Wilson in turn number 1. This is the battle for the lead. Holloway on the bottom, Wilson on the top, Trey Bloom in the popcorn position. Down the back straightaway they go. They are side by side, and it's going to be Holloway with the run through turns 3 and 4. He's going to close the door on John Wilson.
Boy, and Bloom dove it in deeper than Confucius in a submarine to get to the inside of Wilson. He gets it done, move Bloom up to 2nd. Holloway goes from 1st to 3rd in a couple corners.
Wilson goes from 1st to 3rd, and Wilson, man, that's not what you want, but hey, at least it's only 2 cars and you're able to fall back in line. Now you can manage your tires a little bit, maybe cool them off if you felt like you were running too hard, and hope you can regroup and get a little speed later. That's the one thing about these late model stock cars, is that you can cool the tires back down and do something a little later in the run if you feel like you may have abused them early. A little further back, it's Donnie Moore has fallen into the clutches of that pack that we talked about. He's got Kurt Smith looking up the tailpipes and looking for a place to go. And a little further back from that, you see Ruben Altiz looking at the bottom of the Hazlip. These guys are battling hot and heavy, and it's going to be Segala looking at the inside of the 6 into 3, not going to be able to make it happen. And Lowell Jules trying the outside at the back of it.
Jewel going around the outside of Altiz. Altiz is stuck behind the 93 of Hazlip. You know, we talked about it, and now here comes Smith to the inside of Moore. We were wondering if that back group was running them down or if the front group was falling back into their clutches.
Oh, yellow.
More. Yeah.
Caution flag is out. There's an incident further back. It looks like it was
Bobby
John
Hayes.
Hine who had worked his way back onto the lead lap. There's a couple of guys involved, John Hine and Bobby Hayes, and it really started with the two of them going down the front straight. A really interesting looking incident between those two.
Yeah, Hayes and Hine get together, and Hine was going to spin off to the inside, and he said, no, if I'm going, I'm taking you with me. So he took the car, cranked it back right, and clipped Bobby Hayes just enough so that kind of a mutual destruction there.
This is what I was talking about in the pre-race right here. Is the front stretch wall is shaped really weird here at Kern Raceway, and there's an opening right at the start-finish line. And what happened is Bobby Hayes turned off the wall just a little bit because, you know, it's not straight. And John Hine was running a straight line and wasn't expecting Bobby Hayes to come down, and it just got Hine all out of shape, and he flipped Hayes on the way back up, as you mentioned.
Let's dial up the Goose, John Wilson, who was leading for 21 laps. John, you were out there in front. Things were looking good. You go from first to third in 2 corners.
Yeah, that Mike Holloway, he's a pretty tough competitor.
He was he as big in the mirror as he looked here as we were broadcasting?
I think he might have been a little bigger.
You got anything for these guys at the end?
We're going to see what we can do. Trey's looking pretty good too, so even if I can salvage the top 3, I'll be happy.
You know, to lose 1 spot, that might have been tough, but maybe to lose 2 might have been a blessing as you find yourself on the inside line. You don't want to be on the outside on these restarts. It can be rough.
Yeah, it certainly can. So we'll just see what we can do here.
All right, good luck.
Thank you, sir.
The Canadian Goose, John Wilson, started in 7th, led for 21 laps, now racing in 3rd position. He's going to be inside of Donnie Moore. And Ricky, I don't know where Donnie's going to take the 26 on the outside. From what I saw, the car just didn't have a lot of pace. That could be rough for not only Moore, but the guys are behind him, Segala and Altiz on the outside line.
Yeah, I agree with you there. He was holding up that train of cars that we saw right there. So being on the outside lane is not where you want to restart when you're having trouble getting that thing to rotate through the corners. So I'll look for Donnie Moore to try to get down as quickly as he can. And if he doesn't, he might be along for a ride toward the back of the field.
Well, Segala and Altiz would like him to get down as well, as they're going to be stuck behind him. Look for your big mover out there. Well, it's Mike Holloway up 12 spots. Not surprised to see the leader up there. The next guys, we got a lot of guys up 4 positions. John Wilson up 4. Kurt Smith, we haven't talked much about him, up 4.
Yep, we're going to restart here.
Still on the lead lap.
Yep. We're going to restart with 13 guys on the lead lap, as just mentioned, and John Hine, Joseph Snyder, Bobby Hayes, Brendan Myers, all a little off the pace. And here they come back to the green flag, 3/4 of the way through this race. Mike Holloway gets away. He is clear to the lead at the start-finish line, and it's going to be Trey Bloom trying to clear down for second. He's going to do it over the 75 of John Wilson. In fact, he's going to look under Holloway and try to take the lead.
Look at that. The caveman. He hasn't finished it yet. He's got to do it out of 4, but I think he'll have the line. Wilson now trying to get under there as well. Great racing going on up front.
That was a great move out of Trey Bloom. Every single restart, we have seen an issue with the leader trying to get the thing to turn off of turn number 2. It's like the tires are a little cold on these restarts, and they don't want to rotate off of turn 2, and they slide right up to the outside wall, and that guy in second ends up with a really big run. Oh, a little bit of contact between Holloway and the Canadian Goose and John Wilson on the front stretch. They both get checked up a little bit, and it's going to be Trey Bloom clear to the lead. Holloway in second, and the 75 falls into third. The battle is behind that for 4th. We talked about Donnie Moore being on that outside, and he's going to lose that spot to the 6 of Kurt Smith. And there is a little bit of a conveyor belt below him if he can't get down.
Well, let's give a tip of the hat and a wag of the finger to Moore. He didn't. Oh, no, behind him in the wall. That's the 81 to Segala. They keep it going straight, but he loses a ton of spots.
Yeah, and that might be the savior that Donnie Moore was looking for, because there's a gap right there behind Hazlip. If you want to clear him, you can clear him right now. You're clear low, Donnie. Get down there. You're going to stay in the 6th position right here and not fall all the way to the back.
Yeah, to finish my thought on Moore, he did a great job to get to the inside on the restart. We thought it was going to be a trouble. He tucked into 4th position. That was fine. It was when the guys started to check up in front of him, when Wilson and Holloway got together. Moore lost momentum, had to go to the outside. That's when he got underneath. He's still fighting. Now he's on the outside again. Here comes the boss man.
Battle for the lead. Up front, it's Mike Holloway looking to the bottom of Trey Bloom. He got a great run off of turn 2. Trey got a little higher than he wanted to. And down the back straightaway, it was Holloway to the bottom, and he's going to get the job done coming off turn 2 the next lap right here, and he's bringing John Wilson with him. So we might have another battle for the lead. These guys are coming up on some lap traffic here in a little bit with a little over 15 laps to go here.
This is unusual because the passes that I've seen for the lead are not so much the guys from behind making a great move, but the leaders are making mistakes.
That's exactly right. I think it's really easy to get out of the groove, especially coming off of turn number 2. It's like the guys are sliding up a little on the exit of 2, maybe getting into the marbles, and the car just stops turning. And it's really bizarre. I've not really seen that at any of the tracks that we go to. And it seems like it's always the leader doing it. And man, this lap traffic is getting hairy for guys further back in the field. These guys all over the place on the back straightaway. You saw in the speed shot back there. It's just everybody working their way through the lap traffic. And so far they've been successful, but it hasn't been without a little action going on.
Let's go to the number 6, the white Victory Junction car of Kurt Smith. It wasn't long ago we saw him racing back in that group that was trying to run down Moore. Well, now here he is now in what would be 4th position, looking to get a podium spot.
Yeah, and he looks quick. He looks like he's faster than Trey Bloom right now. He's been getting a couple good runs on him, and it looks like he's got another one right here off of turn number 2. He looks to the inside of Bloom. He's trying to get the nose in there. He doesn't quite have it, but Bloom is going to give him the lane going into turn number 3. And it's going to be Kurt Smith moving it into that 3rd spot off of turn number 4. Let's see if he can complete the job in 1 and 2.
That is a big pass for a couple reasons, maybe the biggest being it puts him in an odd number. We'll see him on an inside if we get a restart again. Only 12 laps to go. We could finish this thing under green. Following Smith through is the big lipper, Chris Hazlip, as he goes through.
Yeah, Trey Bloom's car looks to have given up the tires, just not wanting to do what he wants that car to do any longer. It's just driving straight up the track off of turn number 2, it seems like every lap, and that is a sure sign that the tire is worn out on the right front. It just doesn't want to do any more work. Here comes the 70 of Ruben Altiz. We've been talking about him working his way back up through the field after following all the way to the rear. He's looking for that position on Trey Bloom as well. They're going to be close off of turn number 2, but it's going to be Ruben Altiz with the preferred line into 3.
Altiz started in 5th, got pushed all the way to the back, does what he does, he's back up in 5th.
We see Brendan Myers off the pace right there. He just got into the wall, coming off of turn number 4, trying to get out of the way of the leaders. I think the leaders were coming faster than he expected, and he was just trying to get it out of the way, and he pounded that outside wall and probably broke the right front suspension. But man, Holloway's not getting away from John Wilson up front. John seemed like he wasn't sure what he had with those guys, but look at this. He's looking up the tailpipes of Holloway.
There's great racing going on through the back of the pack, but really with these laps clicking off so much, we're going to focus the majority of our attention now, Ricky, up front, because Wilson looks really strong.
Yeah, he definitely isn't letting that 23 machine get away. Here's John Hine, lap machine way up at the top of the track. He's going to let both those leaders go by. Great job by John getting out of the way. And you see Holloway got away just a little bit from John Wilson off of turn number 2, but Wilson closing that gap again going into 3.
I'm not sure if you were on the broadcast with me or if it was the modified race, but John Wilson was in this situation a few races ago, and in the post-race I asked him, you know, John, this is short track racing. You can maybe give a little up, a little bump and run, just a little racing and line assistance maybe to the guy in front. His answer was, the goose doesn't race that way.
Yeah, I think you'll remember that was talking about me after I gave him a little bit of bumper in a modified race. unintentionally, but you said, did you think about giving him some bumper? And he said the goose doesn't race that way. And I really appreciate it that he didn't come knock me out of the way.
I knew you weren't in the booth. I didn't realize you were in the track at that time. Good racing going on. Now Holloway beginning to open up about a 2-car lead.
Yeah, coming back to 4 laps to go right here. Man, Wilson is just giving it all he's got. Hey, look, there's our spotlighted driver, the 22 of Bruce Pearson, and he's in that under spot. So I feel real good about picking the under position today for Bruce. I think he's had a really good race. Stayed out of trouble, and he's running in that 6th spot in front of Trey Bloom in 7th. So it really looks like he's going to be able to get the job done.
You can see Bloom, really the car. There's nothing left. He's just trying to hold on here for these last few laps. It looks like Holloway is not in that position. He seems very comfortable.
Yeah, coming back to 2 laps to go. All Holloway wants to see is the white flag. He doesn't want that yellow flag to wave before he gets back to the white. Here it is, 2 laps to go right here, and everybody's pretty spread out on the track. So the chances of a caution flag flying are really low for Holloway. So that's great news if you're in the 23 car.
Mike Holloway maybe not having the season he would like, up doing well in the points as he comes across the line here. He gets the white flag. But what's important, there's a great woman who says you need to be able to see what can be unburdened by what has been. And that's what Mike Holloway is doing right now. Through 3 and 4, just a straightaway away. The winner, round number 5, is Mike Holloway. John Wilson takes 2nd. Kurt Smith gets 3rd.
Great call and great racing by Mike Holloway to make his way through the field. 12 spots gained, by far the biggest mover in this race. What a job by Mike Holloway, getting it done back-to-back weeks here in the Late Model Invitational Series.
Indeed. With that said, we're going to take a short break. But we'll come back to run down the entire finishing order. Talk to some of the drivers before we put a lock on the gate. Don't go far. You're watching VGM.
This is your chance to get behind the wheel. The opportunity to race just like the pros. From the grassroots levels, where we all got our start, to the most popular race cars on the planet. From the fairgrounds of Nashville to the high banks of Daytona, to tracks that will never be forgotten. Realistic driving, intense competition, all from the comfort of your own home. This is the ultimate motorsports simulation. This is iRacing.
Welcome back to Kern County Raceway and VGN's 5th round coverage of the Bootleg Racing League's Late Model Invitational. I know they're late models because they have fenders on them. Season 27. Let's go ahead and give you the finishing order. 17 drivers took the grid. I'm going to run down all the cars in the top 10. Mike Holloway started in 13th, led 37 laps, but they were not consecutive. John Wilson also led 21 laps as he finishes in 2nd position. Kurt Smith had a great run getting that final podium spot. He was able to get around Chris Hazlitt there at the end. Ruben Altis started in 5th, fell back, raced all the way back up to 5th. Nice job from him. Bruce Pearson, our spotlighted driver, 8.5 was the under. My partner said the under, and he comes home in 6, making everybody happy. Trey Bloom, the caveman, raced up front and actually led 6 laps before he ran out of tires and finished in 7th position. Joe Segala had an incident, but John Hine was able to salvage that. He comes home in 8th. John Hine not so lucky. Lowell Jewell in 9th, rounding out your top 10. Steve Hilbert.
Donnie Moore fell back to that 11th spot. We saw him struggling to get that thing to turn after the final caution flew. We speculated if he'd be able to hold his position. He did not. Brought it home, the last car on the lead lap in that 11th spot. Tom Hilbert 1 lap down in 12th. Joseph Snyder ran into some trouble tonight after leading early and finished 13th. Todd Liston 14th. John Hine, man, he's seen better nights, that's for sure. Probably wishes he was in the broadcast booth instead of on the track tonight. But hey, if he comes back next week, he's going to start on the pole, finishing in the 15th spot. So Brendan Myers joined the race a little late, brought it home in the 16th spot, and Bobby Hayes rounds out the field in 17th.
With that said, let's go ahead and run down our race winner, Mike Holloway, and talk to him a bit. Mike, it's Soup up here in the booth. You know, when I do the broadcast, a lot of times the more exciting racing goes on in the back of the pack because those guys don't quite have it figured out as much, and they make mistakes, and that's where the action is. Usually the guys up front don't make those mistakes. That was not the case today. It seems like every pass was from the leader getting loose or letting the guys go by. Is that your take?
Yeah, I mean, definitely had to work for that one. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. It seemed like nobody could really get out there and just hang on for a long time.
At the very end, you had Wilson stalking you there. Did you have much left in the car at the end? It looked like you were able to comfortably pull away the last couple laps.
Yeah, I just kind of assumed that he was going to make a little more of a run than he did, but he started fading back there with about 5 to go, and I was real happy about that because she was going away real fast.
So what's going on? Is the wife putting some like extra vitamins in the breakfast meal or something? Because 2 in a row, baby, you really got it going. What's going on? New sheets? New laundry detergent? What's the change here?
Yeah, well, I'm not married, so it's not the wife,
okay.
but
well, maybe that's it right there.
Yeah, well, I mean, it could be. I honestly, I don't know. It's just things seem to be happening right now. Everything seems to just be kind of falling in place and taking care of business.
Well, congratulations on the win, Mike. You came from 13th to do it. Well done. That is what I like to call Shepherdian work there.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it.
Mike Holloway, your winner, 13th to 1st, 2 in a row for Holloway. All right, Ricky, who you got?
Well, it's the Canadian Goose, John Wilson. We talked to him there in the race and brought it home in the 2nd spot. Man, John, it looked like you had something for Mike Holloway for a little while. You stalked him after that final restart.
Yeah, I was doing all I could to kind of hang on to him, and then with about 10 to go, I got that dreaded tire warning. So I thought maybe I should lighten up just a little bit, but I didn't have anything. I wouldn't have got him even if I was closer.
How did you like this track tonight? We saw a lot of guys seem like they would pick up the throttle in the center of 1 and 2 and kind of drift out toward the wall. Did that ever hit you tonight?
No, not really. I like Kern a lot. And now it's actually a decent result, so I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, really nice result here tonight. Pete, too. That's going to help you out in the points quite a bit. And it's good to see you back on the podium, John. Anybody you want to thank?
I just want to congratulate Mike on his win and Kurt for 3rd. When those 2 guys got in that wreck, I know they both had hurt cars. So I'm just glad that they could pull out a 1 and a 3. I want to thank Lowell, of course, for putting the league on, giving us this place to race. You guys up in the booth, you and Soup and Ryan, the work you guys do is phenomenal. I love going back to watch the broadcasts. And thank my teammate, Chris Davis at Continuous Development Racing. And I think that's about it.
There you have it. John Wilson finishes P2. He should be our new point leader going into week number 6 here in the Bootleg Racing League Late Model Invitational Series. Who have you caught up with, Soup?
I got Kurt Smith. Kurt, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Interesting race. You were in amongst it, racing back there like 5th and 6th around Donnie Moore. You're in there with Wilson and the 93 of Hayslip is there. And then slowly but surely, you made your way up. You got to be happy with the third place on this one.
Yeah, third place is a pretty good run, especially starting ninth, and Holloway started farther back. But I got a little bit of damage in that wreck with Todd Liston there, so good to get a third out of here.
You have much left at the end, or was that it? That's all she had?
I think I was gaining on him a little bit there at the end. I still had about 59% on the right front, so I had a little bit left to play with. But the damage, I think, was holding me back a little bit.
Well, it was fun to watch you race. You worked your way through. You got around Donnie Moore. You know, a lot of horrible news if you get stuck on the outside on restarts. Were you lucky on this one? Did you ever have to start one on the outside?
Yeah, I had to start a couple times on the outside. The worst one was when I started fourth. I kind of fell back till about sixth again. I had to climb back up a little bit.
It is rough. We saw some guys finding holes whenever they could. You did a good job. Love to talk to you when you finish on the podium. Well done. Congratulations, third place finish, Kurt.
Thank you very much. Y'all have a good week.
With that, our doubleheader night is about to be over. But wait, you want to know when we're going to do this again? Next Saturday. Now, we're going to be off for Labor Day holiday, but that's a ways away. Don't worry about that. We're going to be back next Saturday. Where we're going, well, you get yourself a corn dog, you get yourself some cotton candy, ride the Ferris wheel, and then later on, go watch a pair of doubleheaders. We have both the modified and the late models from Nashville Fairgrounds. Nothing like a fairground racing night. With that said, we'd like to thank all of you for watching. Every broadcast is a production of the Virtual Grip Network. Until next time, have fun storming the castle.